Mental health language has become more mainstream, and while it's wonderful to have increasing discussions and awareness about mental health, mental wellness, mental illness, well being, and the promotion of things like therapy, I love that these conversations are more normal and that certain ideas are becoming more commonplace. However, with the rise of this mental health language, therapy speak has also entered the chat. And it's gone beyond these conversations and has worked its way into places that I don't really feel like it belongs. Therapy speak and self-help ideas have been twisted by influencers or for marketing purposes to encourage overconsumption or are being tied to shopping and the pursuit of stuff. In today's video, we're going to talk about how some of this shows up on TikTok. We're going to talk about a few examples of this, like the use of the inner child to encourage people to shop. We're going to talk a little bit about self-care, and we'll also talk about some concepts from the self-help space. Before we dive in, I want to make it really clear that I am not a mental health professional, and this video is not dispensing mental health advice. We may be talking about concepts like the inner child today, but I'm going to be using direct quotes from professionals in order to have some of these discussions. I'm speaking today as a conscious consumer and cultural observer. My goal today is to take a look at some of this language and how it's being used for marketing or influencing purposes, and not to critique the actual practice. Let's first talk about therapy speak. And this is when psychological or therapeutic terms are taken out of that specific context. Or we may also view this as terms that view some kind of clinical or therefore professional weight. Terms like toxic or inner child or gaslighting. This is not to say that nobody ever on TikTok or social media cannot talk about these terms or their experiences with these terms, but what you're going to see today are things that are far outside of that context. And the first thing we're going to talk about is using the inner child for marketing and shopping purposes. So let's first talk about what the inner child is. So according to Integrative Psych, your inner child is a part of your subconscious that has been picking up messages way before it was able to fully process what was going on, mentally and emotionally. In Healing Developmental Trauma, Heller and Lapierre elaborate on the lasting consequences of early emotional neglect and unmet developmental needs. They write that unresolved trauma impairs connection to the self and others, that can lead to shame, low self-worth, and the use of childhood survival strategies that no longer serve us as adults. Inner child work can become necessary when unprocessed childhood experiences influence adult reactions and relationships. As Integrative Psych explains, we might feel emotionally triggered by small things that seem irrational. We might sabotage relationships, or we might struggle with setting boundaries. One example of inner child work, I'm mentioning this to show you what an expert qualifies this kind of work, and I'm not suggesting that you go out and start doing inner child work like willy-nilly. They say that it can include writing a letter to your inner child, which could be a love letter, reassurance, or apology. It's a way to reconnect and give your inner child the words that they needed to hear. What this information, I think, shows us is that our experiences as children can impact us as adults in negative ways. And also what somebody may need to heal from these experiences, even if a reaction is similar, could be very different. And a lot of this work figures out what your specific experiences were in childhood and how they impact you individually or specifically as an adult. So to be extra clear, or I hope what is extra clear, is that this kind of work addresses unmet emotional needs from childhood through intentional reflection or work, usually with a professional. I want to now look at a couple of TikToks. So in this TikTok, we have somebody who is putting away purses on a rack or like a shelf space. I counted 18 visible purses. And on the screen, it says, maturing is realizing I don't need another Coach bag. So she's putting away her purses, and then it goes to her shopping in a mall or like walking into a Coach store. And it says, too bad I'm immature. And then the caption says, listen, I'm healing my inner child by buying every purse I want. I just happen to be obsessed with Coach and I work so hard, so I deserve it. There's this TikTok that says, healing my inner child by buying things I could never get as a child. And then she's buying what appears to be, to me, either a juicy sweatsuit or pajamas. And then it also appears that she's buying underwear, like juicy underwear. Another one, it says POV, healing my inner child with adult money at TJ Maxx. I gave you the context of what inner child work could look like to give you context for these TikToks and how these TikTokers are framing it. And I feel like there is either a fundamental misunderstanding of what inner child work means or looks like, or just thinking about things their childhood self might enjoy or like. This TikTok says, just a girl trying to heal her inner child by giving her everything she would have wanted. This is giving off very similar vibes. We also have several TikToks of adults buying plushies. This one says, buying whatever plushie I want. And then this TikTok provides the most like in-depth explanation. Like most of these other videos are just some text over a screen. You don't hear anybody talking, but this person talks about their experience, and she buys 6 plushies. Actually, you know what? Let's just watch this one.
How do you heal your inner child? For me, it's collecting plushies, and you may be wondering, why is a 26-year-old buying kid toys? As the oldest sibling, I had many roles: the family therapist, the third parent, a role model to my younger sibling. I was a child pushed to be an adult. I'm grateful for learning maturity and responsibility, but I crave the feeling of just simply being a kid. And for me, plushies bridge this gap. They're a constant in my life, yet give me a chance to escape adulthood.
All time. I'm so excited to show you guys what I got, starting with this Winnie the Pooh hooded blanket.
Okay, the rest of this is her hauling stuff, and I can appreciate her experience, and I'm not mad that she wants plushies at all, that she finds value in them, and I'm not knocking somebody for a specific interest. I want to be very clear about that. I am also not attempting to minimize her experiences or struggles as a child, because those are very valid. The problem with this, in my opinion, is number one, this I believe is an ad with Miniso, and she's using her shopping at Miniso, like justifying that through the lens of like healing the inner child so I can buy whatever I want, or like collecting plushies, as many as I want. What we're seeing in all of these TikToks is shopping being framed as a healing technique or a healing tool. I think that this sends mixed messages. That inner child work tends to focus on emotional repair, not material accumulation. While there can be physical objects and goods that can connect you to your inner child in some kind of way and help you on your journey, I don't think that in a lot of cases we're going to heal ourselves via shopping. Reducing healing to consumption, I think, runs the risk of associating shopping with healing, seeing shopping as the tool or the mechanism, the solution to deeper emotional needs. This is a cycle that I believe to leave real healing left undone. You can't heal without the emotional work. And this skips through the emotional work, which is really hard. We'll talk about retail therapy later, but this becomes like retail therapy because you are doing the shopping instead of the emotional work. Retail therapy is a problem. Like if we forget the inner child work for a second, it's a problem because it doesn't allow you to process your emotions. You are quite usually skipping them, ignoring them, putting them off, avoiding them. So could buying plushies do something for you or allow you to experience something you didn't as a child? For sure, but that is not synonymous with work. And then you see TikTok after TikTok after TikTok like this, especially in specific places, can create associations and can position buying plushies as like a good for you thing. one of the themes of these TikToks as well is not just somebody buying a thing, but buying as much as they want, collecting. There are multiple TikToks that says allowing myself to buy whatever I want. Even if we think about children, I don't think allowing children to buy literally whatever they want, how much they want, and whatever quantities they want is actually a healthy thing. It is true that there can be specific experiences in somebody's life that like maybe wasn't about a specific thing, but because there was like a context that happened, I'm just going to pick something not relating to these individuals here. Let's say something happened over a mahogany teak wood Bath and Body Works candle. There was like a really emotional moment that was tied to that thing. Reconnecting with that can potentially like repair a core memory or a core belief that was a real problem for you. That is true. Or denying children specific things can be harmful, but buying whatever you want, I don't think is the answer. And often as well, equating like nostalgia or toys with the inner child. Like nostalgia is inner child work, or because your younger self appreciated plushies inherently makes that work inner child work or buying those things. It could. Don't want to speak in definitives here because so many people experience different things. But the point I want to make here is that nostalgia or toys are not inherently inner child things. When brands or creators suggest that you can buy toys or nostalgic items, they can become like valid substitutes to emotional work. And this can, not that it does, but it can trivialize the emotional work that is required. And I think can imply that healing can be bought. I'm going to put this TikTok on the screen that I put in my mini brands video. It says POV, you stop caring what people think and start healing your inner child. And it's somebody going to Ulta to buy mini brands. This is turning what can be really deeply like painful, psychological, like personal things, personal needs into marketing. I don't expect a toy company to like empower people to seek psychological help or like therapy. That's not the role I would expect a marketing company to play, but it's funneling them towards spending, and it's doing it in a way that can be emotionally manipulative. To conclude this section, healing your inner child is deeply personal work, and there's going to be emotional components involved in it. And while there could be an element of shopping to it, that will not be the primary way majority of people are going to do the inner child healing stuff. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about something in the self-help space. This involves not Mel Robbins, but her let them theory. So Mel Robbins is an American author. She's pretty big in the self-help, self-development space. Her work focuses on personal growth topics, mindset shift, behavioral tools, things like that. She's really about like empowering people to take care of their lives or take control of their lives, And in 2023, she published a book called The Let Them Theory. So this theory encourages emotional detachment from the behavior and opinions of others. At its core, it's a practice in surrender, letting people do what they will rather than wasting your time and energy trying to control, correct, or convince them. She argues that when we stop chasing external validation and accept what people choose to do, we free ourselves to focus on our own peace and purpose. She intended for this to be a personal empowerment tool, and it's about reducing emotional reactivity and prioritizing self-trust and inner stability. There is this audio coming from this book that is Mel Robbins talking about this in practice, and it was being shared in 2023, but also I saw many clips in like the late winter, early spring this year of creators like listening to the Let Them theory or like playing this specific clip and doing things. We're going to watch one of these clips now so you can hear the audio. What's most important is the audio. We will talk about the creator in just a second, but let's listen to this audio.
People will have negative opinions about you and every single thing you do. Let them. Let them judge. Let them react. Let them doubt you. Let them question the decisions you're making. Let them be wrong about you. Let them roll their eyes when you start posting videos online. Instead of wasting your time worrying about them, start living your life in a way that makes you proud of yourself. Let me do what I want to do with my one wild and precious life.
So this specific creator made multiple videos with this audio, and one of them is her making a latte, and just like this sound is over it. And then this particular one we watched is her like sitting in the car sipping her drink. So this particular creator, her primary purpose on TikTok is to sell people stuff. That's what she does. And when we look at her TikTok account, all of her videos, or majority of her videos, I should say, are her favorite shoes for spring. It's all new stuff all the time. Like literally every video is something new. It's kind of crazy just how much new stuff is shown on her channel. And we also have another creator who she gets a lot of hate because she's on a carnivore diet, and she posted a picture of her cutting like meat, a really big piece of meat, with this playing over top. And the implication of both of these TikToks, and like every one I've seen from content creators that aren't talking about it, is I've seen many of these. They will be like doing something in their life, or they'll just be sitting and nodding. Let people hate on you. Like, you know what you're doing. Don't let the haters kind of get to you. And one of the lines in the clip that I think really draws content creators is, you want to post videos and they want to judge you for posting videos, let them. And I think some of this comes down to people judging you for posting videos online. And it's a way, in my opinion, to deflect criticism. Maybe people in your life or in their life are thinking what you do is stupid. They think that like anybody being a TikToker or YouTuber is stupid, or like, who does she think she is kind of thing. But there's also a way of deflecting criticism. Both of these creators and creators who post regular content, like regular haul content, get criticism for how much new stuff they're bringing in and buying. Not every criticism that you get is coming from a place of being a hater or people telling you that you shouldn't haul this much stuff, or people complaining about how much you haul, or overconsumption, or anything like that isn't just being a hater. It's not every negative comment equals you being a hater. I can understand where these creators come from, because when you're online, I think what draws creators to this is that being online means that there is like almost always somebody who has a negative thing to say about what you're doing. And it can be a really big trap to fall into, to dismiss everything and dismiss it all as hate, because I can tell you it is hard to take sometimes. So I'm going to give a personal example here to just take it away from the creators for a second. Even when it's something that's not about content, it's somebody's opinion on it. Some people say I talk too softly, and that's a problem. Other people love how softly I talk. Who do I listen to? And in some cases, you just have to go with your gut and make the choice that you feel is right. Otherwise, you can go insane trying to please everybody, or resting your decisions on the thoughts of other people. I get that, and there's an element to protecting your peace. And I don't wish any of these creators like mental harm. I don't wish harm on them. It's not what this is. But I think that this can turn into a deflection of valid criticism and valid concern. You are not free from responsibility on how you influence other people, or because you get so many negative comments that it's too much. It's not negative comment equals problem. You as a creator need to learn how to suss out the difference. And while it can be hard, and in those moments where it is hard, maybe you maybe you leave it and you wait till you are in a better emotional state to suss it out. But I think it's your responsibility to do that. And if all of your comments, or majority of them, are telling you that your content's a problem, that doesn't mean ignore it. We're going to end today on a segment on retail therapy. And retail therapy refers to the idea that shopping can serve as a form of emotional healing, a way to relieve stress, sadness, or anxiety by purchasing new items. We've spoken about this on the channel before. I've made a video on retail therapy or like girl therapy. I've also made a video on like self-care spending, which is similar. These two things often get lumped together. Research shows that while shopping can boost short-term dopamine, it does not resolve underlying emotional issues. It creates a temporary high or temporary state of pleasure, but this can be followed by real negative long-term consequences or potential harm. The reason why people struggle with this or why it doesn't work is because it lives the hard emotions, the crux of the problem, the thing that causes mental anguish or the narratives that is unaddressed by shopping. According to Helga Dittmar, material goods cannot provide the emotional security and self-worth that individuals seek. Instead, reliance on consumption for emotional needs can lead to a cycle of dissatisfaction. That's part of the point, is that you cannot find happiness, emotional fulfillment with shopping. It is only ever really a band-aid at best and an avoidant strategy. If you go to shopping during hard emotional moments, you are most likely avoiding something that you need to address. That should be an indicator to you, I think. I've previously addressed TikToks that have been a bit more like jokey, more maybe like lighthearted, or maybe more obviously at the fore on the nose joke. Some of them might look a little bit like this. She has her shopping bags in her hands and it says, "Shopping won't solve your problems, my honest reaction," and it's her shopping. This was posted end of December and it has 8.8 million views. This video says, "Probably needed a hug, went shopping instead." The caption says, "Retail therapy is the best form of healing. I promise." I promise is all in caps. There's a crying emoji, a heart face. And then, sorry, I had that paused. She goes, she's showing her haul. A purse, a Prada purse, Miu Miu, a scarf, scarf for her bag. It's a luxury haul, Loewe. I feel like these TikToks have some of them used to be, the ones I've covered in the past have been these kind of like short clips, but they've morphed into ways that, or I've seen more, I should say, of TikToks that appear increasingly serious or are a little bit more difficult to suss out. Is this a joke? Is this not a joke? I'm now going to play you one of somebody who describes their bad day.
And besties, I am not having the best day, so we are going to heal ourselves with some retail therapy. You didn't ask, but pretend you were like, "Malia, what's wrong?" Well, this morning, I noticed my windshield was cracked. Yeah, in my brand new car. And then I had a Coachella outfit package stolen, and I can't reorder it. It won't get here in time. Perfect. But there is a Coach bag I've been having my eye on for quite some time, so let's go get her. And I honestly don't have my hopes too high because with the way this day is going, it's going to be sold out or something. Let's go shopping. I'm just hoping they have it. This is my little outfit. I do feel cute. This could be cute for Coachella. I got a little distracted in Urban Outfitters, but I did lose a Coachella package, so I kind of need a Coachella fit. It was warranted. All right, here we go. Fingers are crossed. Not the bag I came for, but she is really cute. I've been seeing all the denim bags online, but I don't see any in person besides this one. These are adorable. Wait, these are so stinking cute. I see the bag I was looking for. I want her. I feel the day turning around. Yes, I've had my eye on her for a minute now. She's new for spring and she's so stinking cute. I love this wallet because I love a card holder, but I stuff mine to the brim. I like this one too because then my cards won't fall out. I don't have a legit wallet, so I think I am going to get her too. Wait, but this little one is so cute. What can this carry? Absolutely nothing, but it's adorable. I also absolutely love this bag. I've honestly just been more into bigger bags so I can carry all my cameras and all my lip gloss. They're wrapping up my bag. Let's see what else we can find. I'm in Sephora, but I'm just looking before next week's Sephora sale, so I know what to add to cart next week. The new Kayali smells so good. I will be adding to cart, but next week. The new Glossier perfume. She's pretty. Wait, what's the tea on her? An overnight strength repair treatment? Because I recently fell in love with this hydrating treatment for overnight. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try her out. But next week. I'm going on the Sephora app and adding everything to my cart there so I remember. Okay, I saw her on TikTok Shop, y'all. She smells good. I like her. Alright, I bought something even though I know I shouldn't have. Let's get this bag and get out of here. In my defense, I'm getting braids next week, so I kind of needed this before the braids. I got my bag, now let's get out of here. And just like that, I feel better.
So she describes the bad day that she's had, that her windshield cracked and her Coachella outfit was stolen. Obviously, not great things. It's super annoying for these things to happen, but this ultimately is her trigger or her excuse to go shopping. It seems like the justification that she tells herself, and then at the end, oh, I feel better. And I don't want to come on here and say, I am the arbiter of what a bad day is and you must react this way or this way. But this kind of feels like inconveniences happen, and even an inconvenience can be a trigger for shopping. Hey y'all, Editing Shauna here. In the video, I was mentioning this, is it a joke, is it not a joke, and it becoming increasingly hard to tell. That is a bit of what's happening here, but I think what's really pushing me over the edge and what also could be contributing that is the co-opting of the word healing. Healing is a very specific word that invokes more of that therapy speak and is more directly associated with therapy and therapeutic practices and techniques. Healing also carries a lot of significance and emotional weight, and I think there's one thing of saying this is retail therapy or I just want to go shopping or having a bad day, but to specifically call retail therapy healing and to specifically use the word healing in a retail therapy context, I think pushes this to the next level and really is solidifying terms and associating terms that aren't okay, or associating terms with practices that aren't okay. And by that, I mean positioning retail therapy as a healing practice and therefore okay or beneficial, which really minimizes the problems. Let's watch one last example.
Girl, just buy it. You work 5 days a week, girl. The week has 7 days and you work 5 of those days and you're not gonna fucking check out that Sephora cart, that Essence cart, that Ulta cart, that fucking ASOS cart, that Zara cart. Girl, you work 5 days a week. 5.
This last video is a little bit different because it's not explicitly retail therapy. The title on the screen is just buy it core and she's shopping, and the audio describing the video, or the audio that is playing on top, is you work so hard, you work 5 days a week, just buy it. It's enabling language, to be honest. This video ties shopping directly to personal worth and emotional reward. The language echoes a broader narrative that frames hard work as not just deserving of rest or recognition, but of consumption. In addition, by framing this as a reward, as like working hard implication, they're implicating self-worth here, and as well recognition that bypasses or is easy to bypass arguments against shopping. The focus shifts to worthiness. It makes it harder to question or critique shopping because what you end up critiquing is you not being worth it, the person not being worth it. Or, it can sound like you're validating somebody's efforts. Beyond financial consequences, the practice of retail therapy can increase stress and anxiety. And these things are things that maintain issues. Like it can maintain the need for retail therapy. It can be cyclical. Over time, we can use spending as an emotional regulator, which can reinforce unhealthy patterns. We can teach ourselves, our brain, that relief comes from consumption and not from communication or soothing tools, self-soothing techniques, or that was a tongue twister for me, or emotional work. This can be an avoidance of real healing. In many ways, of healing from the things of the past that have caused you hurt that you have not healed from because you are shopping, but also not rectifying this behavior that continues be the tool or the mechanism for hard feelings. And instead of addressing your feelings of maybe grief or loneliness, anger, fear, or self-worth, retail therapy masks these feelings or these problems, and we are delaying genuine emotional growth. We can stunt ourselves in a way. And I talked in a previous video about depowering language, and I think that is what is happening here. Not dealing with your emotions, whether you're using shopping as a coping mechanism or drinking or gambling or eating. All of these things can have the byproduct of doing the thing opposed to addressing the emotions. And if you don't address the emotions, you don't learn how to address them. And you keep up these cycles of behavior. And then you also keep all of the unprocessed stuff that's been hanging around back here for as long as you've had that problem, or that you've used whatever you're using as a tool for coping. All that stuff doesn't just get processed and dealt with. You still got to do the work, unless you choose to live your entire life not processing your emotions. The thing about this is that it usually catches up with people. I talk about overconsumption on this channel a lot because of the ways that it affects us negatively. And there are so many of them. And today we're primarily talking about like the mental and emotional effects of shopping and how it can affect our psyche, our personhood, our outlook on the world, our emotional health and well-being. It's not a joke, and it's not funny, and it can be real serious. That's why I don't have chill about it. That's why I don't vibe with people who go, haha, jokey joke. No, ma'am. And then equating shopping with self-love or self-worth can add different elements of problems or dangers. So as we conclude, my reminder to you is that shopping is probably not going to be a tool of healing. And the next time you see somebody, an ad or influencer, using the language of retail therapy or inner child healing, I would wonder about that. Maybe be skeptical if it's being used as a tool to promote shopping or way to promote shopping. I would ask yourself, do you benefit from hearing this message? Or who benefits from hearing this message? And are you in a place, potentially based on the message, to consume this kind of content? And would doing this action or taking this action meet an emotional need or distract from that? That's everything I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Maybe a little bit different from me, but I hope it was informative or enjoyable nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again around here tomorrow for another video. Bye.